Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 5:08 in the morning. Yes, early bird gets the worm. It is Monday, starting your new week off right. We got coffee, we got some water here. We're about to rock and roll. Another week of DFS, another week of sports. I am excited. 5:08 Eastern Time. It is Monday, June 3rd. So yes, my favorite day of the week. Hope it is for you as well. Hope you have a productive start to your week. I want to take a first look at this new salary prices, and I guess we can go utility. This is the first time I'm looking at these prices. Yes, the first time. So I'm going to give hip fire reactions, and I want to just briefly, not cover too in depth, but that'll be tomorrow's breakdown video. I want to cover in depth, though, a little bit the minutes. Some things were going on. We'll head over to Popcorn Machine, kind of let you guys and girls kind of get your minutes a little bit clear. I think people are going to be overreacting to a lot of different spots, just looking at the final box scores with certain people's minutes escalating, certain people just coming out of nowhere and getting minutes. There's reasons for all of it, trust me. Every single thing that happened yesterday in terms of some players' minutes, there's reasons for all of it. And there's really reasons for Golden State to be, or Toronto to be very worried. This should probably be ending in 6 games, even if KD doesn't come back now that we have a what seems like fully healthy Boogie Cousins. So, like I said, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Sal Vetri. We're getting a lot of reach during these NBA Finals. I'm extremely ecstatic. I love it. More people saying that they're getting value from these videos. I try and put a lot of hard work into these in the mornings. Like I said, it's 5 a.m. and I'm recording this, which means I was up at 4 a.m. Doing some early research for the MLB slate today and this NBA slate. So if you could hit me with a like button for this hard work, I appreciate that. But what helps me the most is if you can hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Just shows that I have a good following, helps me potentially get some advertising deals not at your expense, but just totally for me. So it benefits you. This free content benefits me just from you viewing it. So you subscribing, you liking, and you notifying allows other people to also get to see it due to the wizardry of SEO on YouTube. And then there's more in-depth stuff, but we don't have to get into that right now. So thank you so much. Hop down in the comments right now. What do you think this series goes to? It's 1-1, so now it is a best-of-5 series. What do you think it goes to? I'm very worried for Toronto. I thought they needed it. I was on the live stream on Sportscaster, which right now, actually, too, if you could help me out a ton, if you could just head over to this website, it's linked down below. It's called Sportscaster, and they do live videos, and this is pretty much my sportscaster. You just do live streams sports related, and if you could hit become a fan, it should be like right here. I have 32 fans right now, but I really do appreciate it. And what I do there is I just go live. I go live at certain times and I talk about sports. Yesterday I was live during the game. I was live before lock because there was some for DFS stuff, because there's a lot of issues going on and going around with YouTube yesterday. I apologize if you're trying to get into my live stream before the game. I was over on Sportscaster after about a half hour of trying to troubleshoot YouTube, and there's issues, and I'm hoping that YouTube's streaming is back up by Game 3, because we're going to be live for Game 3, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. So, but yeah, if you can go over there, that really helps me out a ton. And what I was trying to say is comment down below, who do you think is going to be, how far do you think this series goes? I still think it's now, I said 6 when the Warriors to start after the Raptors won the last game. I was pretty confident that the Raptors were going to win Game 2 based on the way in the style of play, and that was with Boogie Cousins not playing any minutes. Boogie Cousins goes out there, plays 28, and really he should have played 30 or more minutes if it wasn't for foul trouble. So I'm very worried for them, even if they don't get KD back. Boogie Cousins coming out there just changes the entire landscape of how this Raptors team can defend. And it does obviously matter depending on how Klay Thompson's health is. So let's break down into this a first look. We'll take a look at the salaries. And right now I'm glancing at them, and a lot of things look the same. 11-8 and 11-6, Leonard and Curry, they look the same in salary. And here's the thing. If Boogie Cousins is going to come out there and play 30 minutes, and he played 28 minutes, and here you go. If you don't believe me with Boogie Cousins playing 20 minutes, there's a site called Popcorn Machine. DeMarcus Cousins, he played 27.6 minutes. DeMarcus Cousins was going to play 30 minutes in this basketball game, which blows my mind because he played 8 off the bench and looked limited. But he came in and he played actually decently well, actually really well. So he plays 28 minutes. They said he only played 3 clutch minutes, so like the last 5 minutes of the game. I think that defines clutch when the game's close. I'm not totally sure. And then he goes and he plays 5 in this game. That's how coasting he took the regular season. He did not put any effort in. Yesterday when I was watching Boogie, that was by far the most effort I've seen him put in while he's been on the Warriors. No effort in the regular season have I seen yet out of this man. Like jogging. He was sprinting yesterday. He was diving on the ground for a ball or two. So you can see he picks up a personal foul here with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. And yes, he was in there for already a 6-minute stint after only having a 5-minute stint to start the game. He was going to get at least 2 more minutes there. He was playing well. That's when he started to make a three-pointer. He made like 4 free throws in a row. So I expect DeMarcus Cousins right here, which is just a quarter. The blue is how many he played in that. I expect him to pick up at least another minute or 2 there, probably 2. So I'm going to be projecting DeMarcus Cousins for about 30 minutes. Um, So with that said, if DeMarcus Cousins is going to play 30 minutes, there's two reasons that Steph has been so good and he's priced right next to Kawhi Leonard, because when we compare these two players, they're both great, they're both superstars, but for fantasy purposes, Kawhi Leonard is a much better player, and we kind of saw that yesterday when he scores 20 plus more points than Steph, because one, he's going to just be a usage monster for his team, where Steph is a usage monster when Boogie and KD are not out there. That cannot be said when Boogie and KD are out there, especially once you start to get one back. That usage that Steph has does not make him this elite $11,600 player. I think he's still very good, especially going back home. Anything can happen. And if Klay Thompson is out, that definitely helps him. So there's a lot of things that are murky right now, right? We don't know the status. And again, this is 5 a.m., the day after the game. I'm sort of recapping it. We don't know the status of Kevin Durant right now. We don't know the status, although it seemed optimistic. Klay Thompson said he expects to play. What else do you expect him to say? I'm sure he has to get some tests done. So we don't know the status of Klay Thompson. Maybe when we're watching this, you do. If Klay's in, then I don't really want to pay 11.6 for Steph, and not because he had a bad game last game, but because that bad game was directly related to the fact that Boogie Cousins was on the court for 28 minutes, a good chunk of those while Steph was on the court, and Steph's points per minute and his production just goes a lot more downwards when Boogie Cousins on the court. Boogie Cousins demands the ball, whether it's in the post or whether he's shooting threes. He's going to take away shots and production some way, somehow from Steph Curry, and the same thing is going to happen if Durant is going to be coming back for this Game 3. So Game 3, obviously on Wednesday. So, yeah. So I'm going to be very intrigued in seeing what this injury news is. I imagine we get some sort of update maybe later today on Klay and KD, at least an initial update. Then tomorrow will probably be the final one. So I'll have my breakdown video out in the morning. Hopefully we can get something cleared up today so I kind of know where to go with those minutes. But as of right now, as long as Klay Thompson is healthy, I'm not going Steph Curry. If Klay Thompson ends up being out, or it seems like he's not going to play or he's going to be limited, I probably still will hesitate on Steph, although there's somebody who has to take the shot attempts. There was twice during the regular season that Klay missed, and I'm pretty sure Steph averaged, I know he dropped 54 in the one game because I rostered him, so 55. So that's where I'm at right now. It is that Boogie Cousins coming back does hurt Steph Curry at 11.6, right? At this price point, he should not be priced at the same price point that he is priced at when Boogie Cousins was playing 8 minutes a game or when Boogie Cousins was questionable to even play. Now that you get a full go out of Cousins, who is definitely one of the better players on the planet, and he's a very big usage monster, a point per minute guy, that has to affect Curry. That has to drop Curry at least to $11,000 flat, I would imagine. So now you're paying for an overpriced Curry on a team where he can't be as productive. Again, if Klay Thompson is indeed in. So that's what I see right away. Right away, I see that Kawhi Leonard is by far the better play between him and Steph Curry because of those factors. And then if you're going to tell me Kevin Durant's also going to be questionable or coming back, there's no way. There's just no way you play $11,600 Steph Curry. Can he score 50-something points? Sure. Is it going to happen often? No. So Kevin Durant at $11,000, we have to wait and see here. But this is a great price for Kevin Durant if you're going to tell me that he's not going to be limited. Now, if Kevin Durant is limited, and again, this is just a first look, I have to know how long he's going to be limited for. He was a guy seeing 44 to 45 minutes in these playoffs in the last series, in the series before that even. So if you're telling me that he's going to be limited in seeing 35 minutes, well, $11,000 might be a little bit too much for me to pay when you have Kawhi there for $11,800. If you're telling me that he's not going to be limited at all, then yeah, Kevin Durant's probably the best play on the slate at $11,000, and there's probably going to be somehow, some way I'm going to squeeze him and Kawhi Leonard into my lineups. Draymond Green at 10.6, I believe that price comes up $200 after Draymond Green. I flirted with a triple-double. I don't know if he got there. No, he was assist away from a triple-double. Played extremely well yesterday. I need to go back and he just shot a lot better for starters, right? Still hasn't hit a 3 in this series, but he shot 2 of 9 in the first round, or the first game, and then he shoots 6 of 4. When you make 4 extra shots on only 3 extra attempts, that's pretty good. So the other thing I'll say is I have to go back. Kawhi was the primary defender of Draymond in the first game. I have to go back and check and actually see, and this is something I'll do for the breakdown video, all the defensive matchups from Game 2, and then look at all the defensive matchups combined from Game 1 and 2, how many possessions somebody was guarded by somebody. That'll help us moving forward now that we have 2 samples, but again, that'll be in the breakdown video tomorrow, so make sure you tune back in. Hit the notification bell so you know. Siakam at 9,400 loses about $400 in price. Siakam ran into some earlier foul trouble, I believe. He has 4 total, but he played 41 minutes still in the game, got 30 points, and that's just Siakam. That is what Siakam is going to be more so in this series than what you saw in Game 1. Now, I think he averages a little bit more than 29.5 fantasy points a game going forward after that eruption in Game 1, but realistically, with the amount of usage that Kawhi is going to take, and we have still yet to have Kyle Lowry have a decent game because foul trouble in really both of these games, definitely in the last game, only getting on the court for 27.5, 28 minutes. So Pascal Siakam, I'm still not really interested at 9,400. I was very interested at $9,000 when nobody was on him. People were on him last game at 9,800. It wasn't a good play. He's a little bit of a better play because the price comes down and the ownership will surely come down and probably pivot over to a Draymond Green unless you get news on Kevin Durant, and most likely pivot over to a DeMarcus Cousins who's cheaper and plays similar roles at the 4 and the 5. So Siakam at 9,400, I think, is still a little bit too expensive for me. I know you're going to say it's only $400 more than he was in the first game. I get it, but I think we definitely got that Siakam game already. And Draymond kind of said and came out and said, I'm going to step up my defense on Pascal Siakam before the last game. So you should have expected a game like that to come. Now going on the road, I'm just not going to go there because you're still going to have, we saw what happened yesterday. Kawhi had his monster usage game, which is going to happen more often than Pascal Siakam shooting 80-something%, right? And then if we get Lowry doing anything in this series, it's going to hurt Siakam even more. So I don't want that. Klay Thompson's price stays the same. So a lot of prices so far, I see, I believe, at least 3. Did Kevin Durant stay the same at 11? So Kevin Durant comes down 200, so that's even better if he plays. So 3 prices so far staying the same. Klay Thompson at 8,400. Yeah, he was playing great yesterday, and the fact that he doesn't get to get an extra 6 to 8 minutes in that game because of the injury probably hurt a lot of people who had him in their captain spot. But he was still needed in the winning lineup, scoring 40-something, I believe. Was he in the 40s in fantasy points? Yeah, 42 fantasy points in only 32 minutes. This guy went absolutely berserk. 4 of 6 from 3. He was 10 of 7 from the field. And honestly, he was going to take more shots, which is something that I did not expect, especially when you tell me that Boogie Cousins is out there for a longer period of time. He had 17 shots in only 32 minutes. The game before, he had 17 shots in 40. So that's really good to see. So if Klay Thompson comes back and Kevin Durant is still in, yeah, I have interest in Klay Thompson. I think you kind of got your Klay game, but you could still get another one because Durant is still out, and he's still going to have around 17 shots, at least around there, even with Boogie Cousins in. Steph Curry at 11.6. If I'm not getting to Steph Curry because of that price point, I have to get to Draymond, Klay, or Boogie, or a combination of them. I think all 3 of those guys were needed yesterday, Boogie in the captain spot, to split your share of around 50K, which was pretty nice, the way that split up. Decent amount of money. So right now, if Klay is actually healthy, but this is something we have to monitor, I'm interested. If Klay is out, well, then Steph at 11.6 becomes, like I said, a little bit more of an attractive play. I still don't want to go there. I'd probably get myself over to more Boogie Cousins, who's still at a nice price point, and maybe even flirt with Draymond. But then Quinn Cook becomes the best play on the slate, by far, no questions asked, if Klay Thompson is out. $7,600 Kyle Lowry's price doesn't change. I like this price point. He's going on the road now, so this is scary, and he just can't seem to stay out of foul trouble. This is this back-to-back games that he's fouled out, or he was in foul trouble, I believe, in game 1. Yeah, he's been now 3 games in a row, at least 5 fouls, and I remember him just being in foul trouble in game 1 as well. So this guy, he should be going out there and seeing close to 40 minutes, Kyle Lowry, but he's not seeing anywhere near that. 28 in the last one due to foul trouble, then he fouls out with 4 minutes left. I had him in my captain spot in the only lineup I played yesterday, and I was still able to cash because I got on a lower-owned Boogie Cousins late in the game. Serge Ibaka played well. Andre Iguodala plays well, yada, yada, yada. So $7,600 Kyle Lowry intrigues me because I think people are going to be off of him. If he can just not be super aggressive and get himself 3 fouls in the first 14, 15 minutes of the game, and then he just doesn't foul out with 4 minutes left, he should be able to get you there in fantasy at that price point. I mean, that's a very cheap price point, $7,600 for Kyle Lowry. You just want him to get you in the 30s in fantasy points, realistically. If he gets you 32, you're probably feeling fine. You might not win the slate if he's in your utility, but you're probably feeling decently fine about that. So I'm interested right now in this price point because the expectations of Lowry and the people wanting him are coming down now. This is game 2, or this is going to be game 3. He has not gotten there really now in back-to-back games, and people are going to be really let down by the lower minutes, and maybe they don't even know that he was in foul trouble. So I like Lowry at 7,600 once again. I know that he probably burned some people. He somehow did not burn me, even though he only scores however many fantasy points in the captain spot for me, like 30. DeMarcus Cousins, 7,200. Here's the thing. It was about 6 minutes into the game, and I was like, okay, this guy, DeMarcus Cousins, or 6 minutes into the second half, after DeMarcus Cousins played 5 minutes in the first quarter, I was like, okay, he's going to play around 20. They'll just do these little 5-minute bursts, 18 to 22 minutes for Cousins. And then when he came in and he started playing 6 to 6.5 minutes, and he made his first three-pointer, and he was in the paint battling with Gasol, and he got 4 free throws, and he made all 4 of them, I was like, this series is over in 6. I was like, if I said it on my sportscaster, I said, I don't want to overreact here. I think the Warriors are going to win this game, 1. And I think that means that the Toronto Raptors are in very big trouble. This is going to end in 6, as I thought in the beginning, but just because of different reasons. Because Boogie Cousins looks completely healthy, and he is trying as hard as he has all season long And I don't know where this came from after playing 8 minutes in game one, and now he just shakes off all the rest after an extra day's rest. So Boogie Cousins played 27.6, if you want to call it 28, there we go, minutes in the last game. He was going to play more. We showed you his popcorn machine game flow. Got in foul trouble in the first half, 3 fouls with like 6 minutes left in the first half, and he was going to play probably at least another minute. I'm going to project him for 30. Would not be shocked to see 28, would not be shocked to see 32. That's why it's a median projection. I will be doing that later today, my projections. So 7,200, if Boogie Cousins is 30 minutes of $7,200 Boogie Cousins at 5,400, he was a smash play. He was needed in the captain spot. He got 38, 40, close to 40 fantasy points yesterday. He's still in play at 7,200. There's no doubt about it. If KD comes back, if Clay's healthy, well, now everybody's almost a bad play. I would much prefer KD if he's healthier at $11,000. There's just a bigger ceiling there, and it's going to take usage away from guys like Steph, shots away from Clay, and some usage away from Boogie Cousins. But $7,200 Boogie Cousins, that's still too cheap in my opinion. This guy should most likely definitely be above Kyle Lowry. I mean, his point per minute production in the regular season is like 1.4 fantasy points per minute, and that's when he's just not even trying, even on this Warriors team. So, yeah, he's going to crush Steph's production and to the point where there's no way it's justifiable for me to pay 11.6 for Steph Curry. We have to see what's happening with Klay Thompson. If Klay's out, it just helps, obviously, Quinn Cook, but it's going to help Boogie Cousins a good amount more. I do have interest in $7,200 Boogie Cousins because this is not the $7,000 Boogie Cousins from the other game that we didn't know what his minutes were like and he played 8. This is the $7,200 Boogie Cousins coming off a 28-minute game where there's realistically another 2 to 4 minutes to be found in that game for him if there was not foul trouble. So, yeah, I think he's underpriced. He should probably be in the 8K range. And by the end of game 3, I would not be shocked if he's around 8,500 if he goes out and does what he did again, and he gets his feet under him a little bit better and plays even better. Marc Gasol, 6,600, saw 31.5 minutes. We had him at the end of the day. We started at 30, then we had him by the end of the last final streams projected around 32. Feel good about his minutes still. You had Serge Ibaka getting in early foul trouble and still playing 16 minutes, so I think that Ibaka probably bumps up. He played really well. Car coming by at 5 in the morning, sketch. So I think Ibaka probably sees around 20 minutes in that game, which probably boosts your Marc Gasol down because Gasol checked in a little bit earlier, I believe in the second quarter for Gasol or for Ibaka. So you probably get more so around 28 to 30 minutes out of Gasol instead of this 32 number. It's 6,600. I do like the fact that he just had a bad game, so similar to Lowry, people are going to be down on him, and he still had a very affordable price point. I have to break down into Marc Gasol more before I can really look into this, especially to see how many extra minutes he really did pick up due to Ibaka's early foul trouble. I think it was only like 3 or 4 though. Fred VanVleet, $6,200 Fred VanVleet is probably now getting to the point where he's overpriced for me, but maybe not, right? He's played 33 minutes in the first game. He played 38 in the last game. Don't look into that. That was Kyle Lowry foul trouble. Kyle Lowry should have probably played. We can look into the foul trouble. He didn't play the last 4 minutes of the game. He didn't play the last 2.5 minutes of the first quarter because of picking up his second foul. So there's 6.5 minutes right there. That gets his 28 to 34.5 minutes. And then he only played 3 minutes in the second half because he picked up his third foul. Kyle Lowry was going to play probably around 20 minutes in the first half. So if you give him another 7 minutes in that second quarter, or actually let's just give him 5 or so that gets you right around your 20 minutes in the first half. If he plays 12, you already had 3. So if you give another 5 there, so now he's at 39.5 minutes. Let's just call him playing 40 minutes in that game, which is what we're accustomed to him playing if he does not get in foul trouble. Well, now there's 13 minutes, 12 minutes to take off of other guys. I'd probably take 6 of those off of Fred VanVleet, right? We can go right over here. I probably take 6 of those minutes off of Fred VanVleet, and you have this Raptors team down here. So if I take 6 off of Fred VanVleet, he goes down to 32, and now I still have 6 minutes to go to get Lowry up to 40, because I do believe Lowry was going to play 40 in this game. The last, like I said, he doesn't play the last 4 minutes of the game. That gets him to 32. Doesn't play the last 2.5 of the first quarter. That gets him to 34.5. And then he should have probably seen, at a very minimum, 4 minutes more in this second quarter where he only plays 3 minutes. So 39 minutes, if you want to call it that. We can call it 39 minutes in this game. I still need to find 11 minutes to take off of guys. Like I said, I take 6 off of Fred VanVleet here. Gets him to 32. I feel comfortable with that number. But then Norman Powell, you're going to have to take some minutes off of there. But the good news is, if I take all 5 of those minutes off of Norman Powell, which I think you realistically should. He never really checked in for Kyle Lowry outside of right away when Kyle Lowry got in foul trouble, but later on in that game he didn't. But the thing with Norman Powell is that Norman Powell played the entire second quarter. That was going to be Kyle Lowry's run somewhere in there. So he plays the entire second quarter. You add that up with playing the last 2 minutes and a half. He played the last 14 and a half minutes of the first half. That's not going to happen out of Norman Powell. Again, he's not productive enough. So I think that his minutes are going to be due to Kyle Lowry's foul trouble. They'll be toned down to around most likely 15 minutes, but that's a pretty big bump from the 5 minutes in game one, right? So where are those minutes coming from? Those extra 10 minutes that he gets in game one? Well, Danny Green plays only 25 and a half minutes instead of 30 minutes, so you can take some minutes right from there. And then obviously there's going to be some more being pieced apart from the Kyle Lowry, like we just said, foul trouble. So Danny Green seeing 5 less minutes than he did in game one, and some Kyle Lowry foul trouble allowed Norman Powell to eke his way to an extra 16 minutes of play in this game. And then also, the other thing to note is that Patrick McCaw did not step on the court. There's an extra 7 minutes that all most likely went to Norman Powell. So that's where we're looking at it. So if we can continue to project that, OG Anunoby will be back, so it probably impacts Norman Powell. But at least he did play realistically real minutes of around 12 to 15 in this game. So that's what that breaks down to. Marc Gasol, I have to look more into. Fred VanVleet at 6,200. If he's going to play 32 minutes, I guess he's not overpriced, but this is a tough matchup for Fred VanVleet. And if he is priced to a point now where they're pricing him here because he played 38 minutes, and realistically he's not going to play 38 minutes, he's going to play around 32 when Kyle Lowry's not in foul trouble, I might take a pass on a $6,200 Fred VanVleet, especially when DeMarcus Cousins is only $1,000 more and going to be starting in this offense. Andre Iguodala is now priced up to 56. He was too cheap in the last game at 46. 56 is still a nice price point on Andre Iguodala. He came out, he played exceptionally well for back-to-back games and exceptionally well based on the guy defending him in Kawhi a decent amount of the time. But he made the biggest shot of the game, goes for 31 points, that 3 at the end of the game, then he gets a rebound to end it, so he ends up with like an extra 5 points in the last 9 seconds of the game for you. Probably helped a lot of people out. Played 29 and 28 minutes coming off of the injury, still plays 28 minutes, was going to play probably around 32 if he didn't get injured in game one. Let's see Andre Iguodala. Did he get any sort of foul trouble? He plays pretty much the entire first. No foul trouble there. So no, Andre Iguodala played a solid 28 minutes. Don't even know if he even had a foul in this entire game. He gets no personal fouls. Wow, what a way to play. What was his final stat line? Andre Iguodala gets 10 rebounds. Oh no, he had 4 personal fouls. Okay, I was looking at the wrong stuff. He gets 10 rebounds. Oh no, that's Boogie, or that's Draymond. So he gets 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. So lots of nice peripherals for Iguodala. Wow, flirts with close to a triple double. That's pretty cool, somewhat, right, for Andre Iguodala. So I do have interest right now, but we have to look into this more. Kevon Looney. So people are going to say, Sal, why didn't you project Andrew Bogut for minutes? He saw, and we can quickly see what Andrew Bogut saw for minutes. Andrew Bogut saw 7 minutes last game, Sal. This is what I get. I get like questions like this, and I'm like, watch the video, please. I did not project. I'm not going to project Andrew Bogut for a single minute unless Kevon Looney is out. Kevon Looney left the game, and then in the second half, Andrew Bogut picked up Kevon Looney's minutes, and that was only 7 minutes. So, one, what that tells me is that's not good for Kevon Looney if he even comes back. 2, what that tells me is even if he doesn't come back, there's no extra minutes really being thrown out there to the point where Andrew Bogut becomes super viable. Now, his price point of $2,200 is interesting because he plays 7 minutes in the second half backing up Boogie Cousins. I would imagine he probably sees around 7 minutes right around there in the first half unless they try and go back to Jordan Bell. They didn't play any Jordan Bell, which is interesting. They went to Bogut first. So what I do here is I don't have any interest in Kevon Looney because he's priced at $4,800. Finally, he's priced back down from that ridiculous $6,200 that he was out for the last game. But he's priced at $4,800 to now be a guy who is not going to see around 30 minutes a game like he was used to seeing. Boogie Cousins is back and seeing 30 minutes probably. So that bumps Looney down to only 20 minutes, like at best. So don't really want any Looney. It might even bump him down to around 18 if they give something to Bell. So I really don't want any Looney if he plays. I kind of hope he plays so this doesn't get froggy and you're forced to try and take a flyer on a 14-minute Andrew Bogut. So keep an eye on everything. Boogie should continue to start. I do not think Kevon Looney is in play either way as a hot take early on. And then Andrew Bogut, I believe he's only $2,200. What does he have? Yeah, $2,200 of Andrew Bogut. This is a really tough matchup for him, but he does match up decently just due to his overall size. But again, it's still as bad as it gets when you have Gasol and Ibaka and Pascal, Gasol, Ibaka, Pascal down there, even Kawhi. So he averaged a point per minute. Obviously, the small sample, you can get 7 minutes. But all those were in the second half, I believe. Yeah, so 7 minutes in the really late of the third quarter to check in for Boogie, and then a little bit of a spurt in the fourth quarter to give Boogie a quick breather. So I imagine he probably plays around 12 to 15 minutes in this game if Kevon Looney is out and if they continue to run him because they ran no Jordan Bell, who seemed to be very a mismatch in game one. He had no chance, Jordan Bell. So moving along, Serge Ibaka at $4,000. That's a good play right there. Serge Ibaka got into early foul trouble, and we can quickly go over to that. Ibaka picked up, like he comes in, he plays really well to start, right? He picks up his first foul right away in the first quarter, and then he picks up 2 quick fouls back to back within 6 seconds of each other, and then he gets yanked really quickly. So Ibaka only has a short little, you can call it a 3, and he had like a 6 minute and 20 seconds stint here where he probably should have picked up, I would say, he was going to get at least 2 more minutes, and he was playing extremely well, so I'm not shocked if he gets more than that. And then he comes into the second half, and he plays 5 minutes, and then he plays into the second, so he plays 10 minutes in that half. I imagine he was going to play right around 10, so I'm probably going to project Ibaka for a little bit better than most people will. I'm probably going to give him 20 minutes for this game instead of 16 and 17 like I did for the first 2. So at $4,000, the price comes down. Ibaka just played exceptionally well. Like, let's not try and get carried away here. He went for 7, 10, and 2 steals as well, which gets him to 24. But I still think there's more minutes to be had for him, so I do like Serge Ibaka to get around 20 minutes at $4,000 as of right now. Danny Green's price shot back down. $5,000 was too much. He's now priced to, in I believe, the exact same spot. He was $3,200 for game 1. Still played 26 minutes. He's still going to get his minutes out there. I'll probably project him for around 28. That's what we had him at. We had him at 28 for game 2. So look, he scores 15 points. He doesn't get as many blocks and steals, right? He got no blocks and steals. And like I said, he had 6 fantasy points coming from the blocks and steals, and that was the exact difference. If he does that again, he does exactly what he did in game 1. Had more points, had a little bit less, or had 3 less points, but 3 more rebounds, so it all evens out. It's just the blocks and steals. You're going to have to rely on Danny Green to get you blocks and steals. I didn't want to pay $5,000 for that. I will pay, or maybe I'll pay $3,600 for that, because once again, the value down here seems pretty shitty. So Quinn Cook is only in play if you only got 21 minutes out of Quinn Cook because Klay Thompson didn't play the last 8 minutes of the game. Otherwise, you were going to get decent minutes out of Quinn Cook, right? In terms of you got a little bit more, but let's keep this in mind. Steph Curry went to the locker room for a little while, so Quinn Cook was probably going to see his around average of 10 minutes in a game again. He closed out this game, or I think he was out there for the most part of the fourth quarter. Yeah, Quinn Cook was out there for the most part of the fourth quarter. He plays the final 11 plus 3. He plays the final 14 and a half out of 15 minutes of this game. So that's not going to happen. Obviously, Klay Thompson, that's a huge effect. The fact that Klay goes out, he checks right in for Klay, and he just stays in for that whole shift. So you're getting an extra 3.5 there, and then most likely extra 11 minutes just right here from the third to the fourth out of Quinn Cook, which right there gets you the 10 minutes of Quinn Cook. And then he checks in for Steph Curry, and he gets himself a little extra boost of around 3 minutes is his normal shift, but then he gets an extra boost here when Steph was injured, and that's probably a little boost of about a minute or so. So I imagine Quinn Cook only plays 8 to 9 minutes in this game if Steph Curry doesn't go out for a short 1 to 2 minutes to go to the locker room. And then also if Clay's the big thing. He saw about 11 extra minutes because of Klay. So don't read too much into Quinn Cook. Do not pay $3,200 for Quinn Cook if Klay Thompson is back. Sean Livingston at $2,800. He's back down about $400 to a decent price, and we had him projected. I said he'll probably score 11 points at best. He scores 10. He's a guy who, yes, he saw 16 minutes, but you can see he goes down a little bit, I think partially because of Boogie. So I don't really have interest in Sean Livingston. This would be the spot I would want to go back to him because he didn't just score 16 points, but his ceiling is literally 16 fantasy points. So let's not get carried away. Norman Powell is interesting because he did see what seemed like 15 real minutes. People are going to jump on him, though, because they see 21, which, again, he probably picked up about somewhere around 7 of these. He picked up all of Patrick McCaw's minutes for the most part in the last game, so there's 7 there. That gets him up to 12. And then he probably picked up the rest of those from, or I would say 6 of those from Kyle Lowry just not playing or having foul trouble, and then you get a couple of extra minutes just for getting the run. But he's a terrible player. 21 minutes, scores 13 fantasy points at his price point at $2,800. That might not even have been needed with all the people scoring yesterday. So right now I don't have interest in Norman Powell because I think people are going to be a little bit too much on him for actually what he can do. We talked about Andrew Bogut at $2,200. He becomes at least worth a consideration if Looney is out, and we can say that, Andrew Bogut might play 15 minutes today since they don't want to play Bell from game 2. No interest in McKinney. OG Anunoby priced up to $1,800. I need to get more news on him. It was nice that they told us he wasn't going to play any minutes right before lock, so I didn't have to, or a lot of people didn't have to burn their lineups. But Anunoby at $1,800, I need more news before I can do anything there. So that's it. That's a first look. I hope it was detailed enough for some people. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think of the video. Like the video before you leave. And if you can do me the biggest favor, if you watch the whole video, if you can just go over to the link in the description, it's Sportscaster, and just click Become a Fan. Maybe check out my broadcasts. I go live over there each day and kind of cover similar things about sports. Try not to do it from as much of a daily fantasy focus, but I do. But just break it down from an overall sports standpoint. how players are doing, how I expect some games to go, and which games I'm looking forward to each day. And then I stream live once a week as of right now. So probably I did game 6 or game 2 first half yesterday. Probably going to do maybe game 3, maybe game 4 as well for the first half. But it depends on how late the games start when they're back in Golden State. So that's it. That's where I'm at right now. This was my first take. I appreciate if anybody, this is just the projection from the last game, so don't look into that. I have to get into those. Appreciate everybody being here. Again, if you could subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're getting close to 5,000 subscribers, and there's a great chance we can get there in like a week or so with these NBA finals. So thank you guys. Thank you girls so much. My name's Sal. Best of luck to everybody. Peace out, gang.